Howdy, folks. Merry, happy, and the holidays and such.
Merry
Welcome,
Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa.
those. And welcome to this week's episode of the Hail Mary Happy Hour. This is going to be a short episode as, people are busy. It's Christmas time. It's Hanukkah time, maybe right now. We don't have our resident Jordan here to let us know. But, uh, but yeah, we do have something special to talk about today. Ain't that right, Tyler?
Absolutely, we do. Welcome to the Christmas special edition of Hail Mary Happy Hour. And who's that at the door? Nobody, but we got some stuff planned for today.
Oh, you got me too. I was like, oh my God.
Sorry.
Who's at the
Uh,
door?
anyway, Josh, we got some playoff matchups, and by playoff matchups, I mean a championship and a toilet bowl going on right now.
Indeed, we do. And it is looking pretty bleak in one of those. I think everyone here has pretty much seen Steve's not looking too good. And along with that, we have the loss of Jalen Hurts, who is unlikely to be playing next week while he is going through concussion protocol. It is going to be a rough look for Steve, who is going to have to probably get a quarterback off the waiver wire. So
Yeah, I mean,
Bryce Young,
I don't. What's up with Jameis? Is he expected to be back, or is he kind of cooked?
he's not. Currently, Jameis is pretty much benched for Thomas Robinson. So they're in
Well,
tank mode. They're not going. David Montgomery is still out. Marvin Harrison hasn't been playing well, and the Cardinals are eliminated. They're not going to make the playoffs. So it's Drake London went down as well. There's a lot of
oof.
a lot did not go the way of Steve's big ballers.
Yeah, I
So
mean, never say never, but the writing is looking like it might be on the wall a little bit for the big ballers. Luckily, they got a big performance from Josh Jacobs tonight, currently at about 22 points. That's going to help keep them in this, but still, I mean, they're looking at a 20-point plus deficit going into the next game. And of course, without Jalen Hurts, that's going to be tough for them to overcome, I think.
it is going to be tough. But a much closer matchup in our championship as the SCLSU Mud Dogs made a comeback. At one point, were pretty down against the Notorious Scoundrels. But now they're leading. And going into next week, it is going to be anyone's match. James Conner went down with an injury. Again, Cardinals out of contention. I doubt that he plays next week. But we'll see what he has to back him up. Keenan Allen was on the bench, scored a ton of points. Maybe that'll be enough. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
really like
Jordan does have some decent options to turn to. I mean, specifically, Keenan Allen coming off his bench is probably the best player that he would be able to get in next week. Michael
mhm.
Pittman been really inconsistent this season. Romeo Dobbs, same thing, hit or miss. So, yeah, I would expect to see Keenan Allen probably getting into the lineup, moving Najee Harris over to that running back spot.
Yeah, I would expect so. And Najee Harris also didn't have a great game. We'll see how he does next week against a Chiefs defense. So not an awesome matchup, but we'll see. Again, my money is on Victor, literally speaking. I put my money on him. So, I love Jaden Daniels, but I'm rooting against him a little bit in this one. And
Yeah,
and for the record, I just would like to say that there is also the match between me and Andrew for third place, which is a prize in this year. I could win my money back, and it's looking pretty decent, looking all right.
all
So,
right. Heck
you
yeah.
know, maybe about
Shout
that.
out third place matchups.
Yeah, they're nice, but that does it for that. It'll be a bigger week next week when we go over the championship and the winners. But we have something else to go over. A special episode that will be coming up what, in 2 weeks probably the week after the wrap up episode.
Uh, Not sure. So, I mean, we're saying next week is championship wrap up, correct? And then I would
Yep.
say the week after, or possibly even the week after that, if we want to take some time to really, really get the episode done well. But in the next couple of weeks, certainly.
Yeah. And Tyler, would you like to present what we've got cooking?
Absolutely. So, in our second year in the league, we would like to continue to build the tradition surrounding our league. And so this year, we are going to be presenting 12 total awards, 6 for managers and 6 for players. And so we're going to be presenting awards and a very special award episode of the Hail Mary Happy Hour, which will be available to watch live as we present the awards. We will be releasing the what do you want to say? The candidates for the awards prior for voting. So we're very excited to be bringing this into the league.
Yeah, it is going to be our best episode of the year. I mean, we are putting in the show value for this. And we've got some awards that I think are going to be, yeah, pretty fun. We're going to have all of you vote on them. We're going to be presenting them out to the audience, and we'll all get to look back on the history of this league every year. So, without further ado, we'll be presenting the categories, and we'll just alternate through this. So, coming up first, we have the Michael Scott Best Manager Award. This goes out to the manager that maybe they won because of their great managing, maybe they didn't win, but this is the manager that made the moves in the season to put their team ahead. Maybe they were struck down by some bad luck, but they were constantly making the moves to get to where they had to be. So it's a prestigious one to be the Michael Scott Best Manager, and we hope you see it that way.
All right, coming up next, we have maybe not such a prestigious award to receive. We have the laziest manager of the year. This goes to the manager who just couldn't be bothered to change their lineup, couldn't be bothered to drop that player who was out for the season just sitting on their bench. So, this award, probably not one you want to receive, but one of you is getting it anyway.
Well, you're going to need a kick in the ass at some point, you know? And for our third award, we have, fairly simple, the luckiest award. You know who you are, probably. I don't even know who you are at this point, but if you're sitting there, you don't have any injuries, you had a bunch of people work out, you might be the luckiest. So, it's a simple one, but it's good to keep people in check with that.
And on the flip side, we have the That's Tough award, sponsored by Ford. This, basically, the unluckiest manager award. The manager who, really just got the shit end of the stick. And when you look at their year and the players they had get injured and the, matchups they lost, you really just look at it and say, that's tough. Ford tough.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And that's fantasy football. That's going to happen. And coming up next, kind of in a similar vein, we have the injury bug of the year for that team that just couldn't stay healthy. Do you have your IR slots are full? You've got 2 more guys on IR on your bench. That's what we're talking about, because there were a lot of big injuries this year, and they definitely affected a lot of us. So take a look around. Maybe, campaign a bit. Complain about your team a little bit in the chat if you need to. It's a prestigious award after all.
I don't know about prestigious, but it does feel like a consolation prize. It's a pat on the back.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, I'm hyping it up a bit for so people.
But
will
speaking
try
of prestigious awards, I'm honored to be able to present this next category, the most prestigious award by far, which is the Hail Mary Happy Hour Best Podcast Guest presented by Athletic Brewing Company for all your non-alcoholic drinking needs, TM Trademark Award.
This is a big one. And I expect that the guest game is going to get pretty strong next year when they realize that, this is in the cards.
And to win this award in its inaugural year, in the inaugural year of the podcast, it really just says that, you were a founding piece of, helping build this podcast to what it is now and to what we hope to grow it into next year.
Yeah. You're going to be one of the hearts of the league. Everyone wants to be a heart of the league. And this is your chance. Now, that does it for our manager awards. Moving into the player awards. So our first one, pretty straightforward. It's the waiver ad of the year. Who found that Puka Nacua of last year? Who found that player that went from nothing to being a hero for them later on? Obviously, not everyone's going to be Puka Nacua, but there are some gems that you can find on the waiver wire, and the good managers managed to find them.
Absolutely. And next up, kind of the tandem award to that one, we have the Draft Steal of the Year. Very self-explanatory. This is the player who found their Tom Brady, their Brock Purdy, late in those rounds, but turned out to be an absolute stud regardless, and is most likely one of the reasons your team was able to achieve the success it did.
Absolutely. And with those two very positive awards, we have to have a little bit of negativity with the fucking shit-fuck bed shitter of the year. I mean, of course. We have it every week. It's the fucking shit-fuck bed shitter. It's the guy that just really fucked up their team. Just really the worst draft pick. Somehow it would be crazy if a waiver wire ad managed to be it. But
that would certainly be wild, but
that would be wild. That would have to be a very good fantasy year for a lot of drafted players.
I mean, I don't know. That could be, but that could happen. I mean, that could be like a week 1 or 2 ad where you invest a serious amount of fab thinking this is going to be a changing piece for your team, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, it could happen. So that's going to be a rough one. And I feel like a lot of managers will have plenty to say about some players that annoyed them during this year.
Josh, we can't just automatically give it to Mark Andrews, okay?
Fuck that guy. Hate him.
But next up, back to the awards that you are proud to win. We have the classic, the MVP award. This award goes to the player that attributed to their team's significant success during the season. This is the player that, was just the most impactful, the leader, the player who was consistently putting up big points and pushing this team to greatness.
Yep. And in a similar vein, we have the Josh Gordon Offensive Player of the Year award. This is going to go to that player that maybe wasn't quite as consistent as like stalwart piece, but damn, they showed out. Maybe it was on a team that got unlucky everywhere else, so you can't see that success always. But on that team, a shining diamond in the rough. That's for these guys.
Amen, Josh. Amen. And finally, to conclude, we have Rookie of the Year. These are going to be the guys who could be incredible keepers in years to come, depending on where you drafted them. And in general, they're probably going to be some of the higher drafted players in fantasy going forward. These are the future cornerstones of the league.
And that does it for all the awards. Sometime in the next week, 2 weeks, we'll set out a voting form to get your thoughts, and we will be discussing in the chat probably some of the logistics of when we want to have this episode, to have our live audience. We want you guys to be free. We want you to be interested. And so please let us know. Please jump in the chat, use it, help us schedule this.
Yes.
Because this was a great season, and it deserves a
It
good
was.
capstone.
It does. And speaking of capstones, one of the other ways that we will be capping off the podcast this season is with a very special episode, which will basically be a compilation of our favorite moments from the season. So that's going to take quite a little while to put together. So, starting now, we would love to start getting some suggestions from moments when you were a guest or moments that you just remember listening to and for whatever reason you loved. I know Andy will probably have some contributions to this,
Uh,
but look forward to that as well coming in a little bit later. Probably once the season has concluded and we've had a little bit of a break.
yeah, it'll be a nice reminder of the season and during the off season when you're scrounging for anything to get some fantasy football data. Bring us back to the season. But that pretty much does it for this. It's a shorter episode. Got to get back to, well, sleep, honestly. Uh, Tyler just got in from a long drive. We thank him for making the effort to get
Oh,
on.
of course, as always. It's such a pleasure to be here.
It really is. Standing by every week. And we'll figure out. I think we're still going to do a couple recordings as this during the off season, but we're coming to a close on a very successful podcast outing, I'd say. And so with that, for the final time this season, set your fucking lineups and enjoy.